welcome to the event here in Lillestrøm in Norway. Thank you very much for your attendance here in the room, and hello to those online. Welcome to the event. We're of course a hybrid summit, and these are become features of our buildingSMART International Standards Summits in recent times. Today's the conference themes is digital products and the openBIM workflow. This is the first time we've really focused on the product side of things. We have some really interesting discussion later on today. We also have a dedicated workshop tomorrow, and the idea being that products become part of the workflow by really helping to structure some of that information correctly. I thought I'd start with a few facts. So did you know that the world's longest road tunnel is actually in Norway? It's an astonishing 15 miles long, this Lærdal tunnel, and is actually the world's longest. The Nobel Peace Prize is awarded here in Oslo, and apparently we have a lot of Japanese attendance here, so apparently Norway introduced the salmon to the sushi. So I'll let you sort that out if that's true or not, but I did Google it, so I'm not 100% sure on that itself. And actually Norway isn't called Norway, it's Osmond, is it Norge? Yeah. Exactly, so we call it Norway, but actually it's Norge, so yeah. We finally made it. So for many of you might know that we were supposed to be here 3.5 years ago, and this was the event that got cancelled through COVID. This is the exact venue we had planned, and 3.5 years later, we're here. So it's really great to finally be here and be at this venue. We have a mixture of domains, keynotes, workshops, awards programs, roundtables, masterclasses, and also closing plenary. So we hope that you enjoy the variety of content you have here. If you'd like to ask for help, we have various members of staff around the place. I'm sure you all know us anyway, but if you don't, these are the team that we have assembled here. Of course, Dan Little, the events manager, has been wonderful in putting this event on, so please do ask him for any help. And we have moderators from Sheila Karai-Lum, Jeffrey Ulett, Claire Whitaker, Ra Twilly, Laura Tan, and John Proctor. We have our local chapter here, Samina, Braga, and Torkild. And Artur, who is our BSDD product manager, and Evandro, who's online. And I hope he doesn't mind me saying that actually he's not here because his partner was due a baby and they had it last night. So we have a new baby in the team. Great news. So anyway, this is the week at a glance. It's on our website. You'll find all the sessions. There's 2 workshops happening tomorrow morning, both open for all. We have the openBIM products workshop happening in one half of this hall and the digital twin workshop happening in the other. You're welcome to attend both. Please download the app. It will help you navigate the platform and connect with other people. And inside the platform as well, for those online, you have a variety of different functions, but which way am I looking? On the left-hand side, you'll have the function there, particularly the replay. A lot of people ask us how they can rewatch sessions if you didn't make it. Typically, it's available about 24 hours after the session itself. You can also connect and chat to people on the right-hand side and search for people's names there. I'd like to thank our sponsors. Many of them been out the front there, but particularly our platinum sponsors, Autodesk, LeapThought, and Catenda. Thank you so much for your support. We'll be hearing a little bit more about some of those organizations a little later today. I'd like to thank our gold sponsors, Akka, Esri, Dalux, StreamBIM, Bentley, and Oracle Construction Engineering. Thank you very much. We have some booths out there. Please go and check them out. I'd like to thank our supporting partners, Ban Nor, Statens Vegvesen, the Norwegian Building Authority, and Statsbygg, our cocktail sponsor, Co-Builder, our coffee sponsor, GS1, and event sponsors, ODA, Sierra Soft, Bexel, and I can't quite remember that one, Electro, I can't pronounce it, apologies for that. We've got something new to announce actually today, which is that we've launched a community portal. One of the feedback we had in our International Council in Slovenia was we'd like an area for people to connect and to collaborate and to have a forum where we can talk to people. And within that, we're planning to have dedicated areas for organizations and for chapters and for members. It is in the beta testing, so we're launching it here today. So please scan the QR code. We'll make it available as well in the platform. Set up a profile, and start engaging with the community. We've actually set up inside this a dedicated area for the summit, so you can talk about themes and feedback to sessions and things like that. It does require people to sign up and register though. So this is a portal that we've launched, and really through the feedback we've got from the community, you'd like an area to connect. There's 3 ways to join. So once you get there, there'll be steps on how to do it. So set up a profile and start connecting and collaborating. And within the actual forum itself, there are different topic areas as well. You can start to discuss and feedback. So for the chapters here in the room, we'll also be providing you an area for chapters as well, which was also a feedback we had. So if you're a chapter leader, please come and talk to us and we'll set you up your own area in there. And that can be an area that you self-govern and self-manage. I wanted to clarify just before I wrap up, next autumn, there was talk that we were going to try and be in Hong Kong. At the moment, we don't have a venue. So I just wanted to let you know that we're working on it very hard. But at the moment, we don't have a venue. Unfortunately, we couldn't quite make the Hong Kong happen. We will have an event in Hong Kong next year, but not a summit. So apologies if you were looking forward to that, but we will let you know as soon as possible. That leads me to the last thing, which is to welcome Anthony Oliver. Anthony is going to be the moderator for today. He is an editorial consultant, a podcaster, and he runs his own podcast, the Infrastructure Podcast. I do ask you to check it out. And Anthony was very good yesterday because this is him catching a podcast with some of you might recognize Patrick yesterday. So this is last night. We will have a Building Smart special podcast out. When is it, Anthony? Soon, yeah. So he does all of his editing himself. So with that, I'd like to welcome Anthony to the stage, who's going to be today's moderator.
Thank you very much. Thank you. And thank you very much for that very, very, very kind bit of free promotion for the Infrastructure Podcast. It was an absolute pleasure, I must say, just sitting down with Patrick last night for 45 minutes or so. And I'm hoping to get that out next Monday. But it did reiterate just how far this whole movement has come in a very, very short period of time, and how much impact that you are making on the whole world of engineering, digital engineering, to really get everybody around the world aligned and suppose singing from the same hymn sheet. So thank you very much, Patrick. Where are you, Patrick? You're there. Thank you very much. I really, really appreciated your time there. So thanks for spending it with me. As Aidan said, I'm a journalist. I spent 20 years with New Civil Engineer magazine, and I've really, over the last 10 years, been focusing on the whole world of infrastructure, which is around the world phenomenally exciting. You know that, you're immersed in it. So welcome today to this Building Smart International Standards Summit. There is a lot of content to get through, and my job today, I suppose, is to help you through that content, to make sure that we are through the content and that you understand what's being said and that you get to ask the questions that you want to ask, but more importantly, that you get out into the networking areas outside, the coffee, the lunch on time, and with plenty of opportunity to speak to the people that you really want to speak to here, which is your friends and colleagues, people you know, people that you don't know yet, and really make those connections, because that's really what it's all about. As I say, I've got some lots and lots of people to get through who are going to do some brilliant presentations really around these 3 areas of digital products, assets, and workflows, and lots of opportunity for you to get some fantastic content and ask the questions you want to ask a bit later on today. A bit of housekeeping before we start. I don't have Aidan's Google facts to hand, but what I can tell you is that there are no fire drills planned today. So if the bells all start ringing, that's for real. So make your way out of the doors in an orderly fashion, the way you came in, and you'll be directed to a safe place. Also, just to reiterate what Aidan said about using the app, do download the app. There's lots of information about what's happening there, so get stuck in there, download the app. There's some Wi-Fi here, which is, I think it's a free access under the Ton Hotel Wi-Fi. And I think finally, well, all the coffees and teas are back out where you were this morning. But finally, thanks again, let's reiterate, thanks to the sponsors today. We're going to hear from Autodesk, Leap Thought, and Contender a bit later on, but thanks, we couldn't make this sort of thing happen without them. So do take the time to go and have a chat with them when you're out in the coffee area, to make contact with them and have a quick chat and see how they can help you. So, as I say, we have got a packed program, so let's make a start. I'm going to introduce our first speaker, who is Brage Hansen, our host today from Norway. Brage runs the Norway chapter of Building Smart, and I think that Brage, you're going to sort of give us a welcome to Norway. Tell us why we're in Oslo, and hopefully tell us, all the fantastic things that are going on at the moment in Norway, where we should be going when we leave the room here in the hotel this evening, what the best restaurants are, the best bars, and the best sights to see all around this fantastic Norway. So, Brage, welcome.
Hello everyone, and welcome to Norway. It's an honor to welcome all of you here, and I think it's wonderful to see you here. I know a lot of people have been enjoying themselves throughout the weekend. I see you share everything on WhatsApp, and I think that's a wonderful thing to do. I would like to thank Clive and Aidan for the opportunity of having the summit here. And also, I would especially like to thank Dan for his wonderful job in making all of this happen. I'm not sure if anyone except us knows the tremendous job he does in making this show run, both online and physical here in Oslo. I would like to thank the Norwegian team. If Samina, Torkil, and Alessa could please stand up. Oh, come on. Those are the ones who have mainly been working with me on the summit, and we also have Elin Dalen Rasmussen and Sten Sunnesen, who are part of the, please stand up, who are also part of the Norwegian team, as both Statsbygg and Statens vegvesen has been so kind to lend them to us for a while. As some of you know, I've been with buildingSMART for over 10 years now, and as some of you know, I have decided to leave buildingSMART, but I know that whatever I will do from now, buildingSMART will be a part of it, because I think this truly is, as Patrick always says, this is the International Friendship Club, and we're all a part of it. So everyone, please enjoy the summit, and please enjoy Norway.
Brage, thank you. Thank you very much. As Brage said, it is a fantastic opportunity for all of you to meet each other and to spend some fantastic time here in Norway. When I sat down with Patrick last night, he reminded me that he's no longer the chair. He stepped down and handed over to Ian Howell. So it's my pleasure now to introduce Ian Howell, who is now the chair of buildingSMART. But of course, Ian, you've been around in this game for quite a long while, having been part of the founding team that set this whole thing up many, many years ago. So what we're here for in Oslo, what's it all about today? Over to you.
Thank you indeed. Yes, it's been a long journey. It's great to be with you all. Obviously, Patrick leaves very large footprints to follow in terms of the leadership. He had 25 years as the chair. I do not intend spending 25 years as your chair, I promise. Really, really thrilled not only to have helped found buildingSMART, but to see you all here today. So my first job is to welcome you. If we could just change that slide. And I want to welcome you in a lot of different languages. I must say that when I found this image on Google, it did not have "G'day mate from Australia." I added that piece, okay? The fact that you all come to these summits, the fact that you all volunteer for our committees, sit on domain expert panels, document use cases, is really what makes us a community and an international organization that's able to achieve the work that we're doing. So we thanked a lot of people already this morning, but I would like to thank you all, both virtual audience online, those who can't be in the room, and all of you who have come to Norway, because it's these opportunities to work together that is what's so amazing about buildingSMART. I call it the United Nations of Architecture, Engineering, and Construction. It's a very, very unique platform. And we have come a long way. On the next slide, I want to, oh, there we go. That's what I'm missing. Thank you very much. I want to talk about what I call buildingSMART 1.0, which is where we started as a whole lot of volunteers, an initial initiative from the US that we went on the road and convinced some European chapters to join as founding members. UK, Germany, France, and Nordic at that time were one chapter. and working together with them as a massive volunteer effort. But we were challenged. We were challenged by our own success. We were challenged by industry, and specifically, Patrick was challenged by the UK government to do more. How could we be more professional? And that really took us to the second version of buildingSMART, where we appointed a CEO for the first time. Richard Petrie recruited a leadership team to really start to put some professional organization into our volunteer community. And we all managed to navigate that change. It meant that we had direct international membership for the first time. We invented this thing called the BSI process to give us some governance. And we continued to imagine how we would evolve and be more organized. And certainly the infrastructure extensions have been an amazing change to go from being exclusively focused on buildings to being focused on road, rail, bridges, ports and waterways, which has been an incredible shift. So buildingSMART 2.0 really exploded what we were capable of doing, the scope of work that we were pursuing. And importantly, it also, at the very bottom of the slide, you see the term openBIM. It gave us a language that we could use to communicate what we were all about, rather than talking about interoperability and industry foundation classes and information management, all of the complex terms that we use when we're involved in doing the work. But how did we get owner-operators to understand the benefits, the purpose, and really start to see them giving us a mandate to pull the idea that open standards were important to their business and should be adopted on their projects. So this is what I call buildingSMART 2.0. But then we were challenged again. We had meetings in June in Slovenia. Thank you to that chapter for hosting us, where we had our international chapter meetings. We had our Strategic Advisory Council. And they kind of said, look, all that's great. That's fantastic accomplishments, but we need to do more. We need to do it faster. We need to continue to grow globally with new chapters. In Slovenia, we had 2 chapters join us, Brazil and India. And what's fantastic about those 2 countries is they also are new continents for us in terms of buildingSMART's global growth. And if we could continue to increase professionalism, we did a lot as buildingSMART 2.0 to be more organized and more professional, but how can we even go to the next level? So we are right now at the beginning of buildingSMART 3.0, and we have a lot on our agenda that's very, very ambitious. We start with having IFC 4.3 as an ISO standard, which is a fantastic milestone, but we want to do so much more. We want to continue to expand professional certification. We want to do software certification in new ways. We want to have a new generation of technology for IFC 5, and how do we work on that, taking into account all of the different technologies that are available to us that were never even thought about in our buildingSMART 2.0 era. So we have a very, very ambitious agenda, and that's going to mean that we need to evolve our business model and make new changes and new growth. So what I'm very excited about is the person who has to lead us through all these challenges is our new CEO, Clive. And I'm going to ask Clive to come up to the stage and walk us through how we're going to do all this, because it's a fantastic, ambitious agenda. It's where we've earned the right to now play at this level, and looking forward to working closely with Clive to help make that happen. Thank you.
Thank you. Nicely done. Right. Good morning, everyone. Welcome. Fantastic to see you all here. Thank you all for taking the time out of your busy schedules to be here and join us today. As you can probably tell from this, there is a lot going on in this community. Ian's just alluded to some of it. I put this up because every time we put a logo slide up, all the camera phones come out. So, and I can see it happening again, which is fantastic. And Léon taught me that. So thank you, Léon. But I will try, and it might be a difficult task over the next few minutes, to explain how all of this fits together, because these aren't individual standards and services. There's an ecosystem here that has to work together. So we will talk about that in just a moment. Before I get there, I just want to do a couple of acknowledgements. And as you've heard, thank you so much to everyone who's made this possible today, through the domain teams who put the program together for this week, to the organisers in the Norwegian chapter, buildingSMART International, all of you who've attended. So a round of applause, please, to thank them. And likewise, our sponsors. We can't do this without their generosity. So again, thank you very, very much to all of you who've supported and contributed to this event. So thank you. Now, as Ian said, we are a growing organization. We have 31 chapters around the world, as well as recognizing Norway for hosting us here today. We now have Brazil and India as part of our community. Brazil is a new chapter in formation, joined over the summer. India has now moved in developing chapter status. Really important organizations, important countries in the global construction sector. And it's worth just remembering why actually this is important. Why are we all here? And it's because that construction sector, it has a profound impact on just about every aspect of our day-to-day lives. You know, I can't think of an industry which actually does more to impact what we do, what we live and breathe. But it's an organization, a sector with two fundamental challenges around poor productivity and actually a sustainability impact which is not sustainable. 39% of the world's carbon emissions come from construction, for example. So we are here because we are trying to find a way of doing more with less. Do better, more buildings with less resources, less impact on the environment. And actually, we do have some of the solutions to that in the work of our community. So if we think about this, and some of you have seen this slide before, but if you think about it as a system, all of those logos are the foundation of this pyramid here. Those are the open standards that allow us to bring together data and information from different software packages, different organizations, different life cycles of the project, and fuse it together in a way that's machine readable, so you can automate it, so you can start getting efficiencies in your processes, which gives you benefits, but in a way that actually gives you far more powerful information that you can take better decisions on. So you can optimize your decisions. You can start optimizing for productivity, for sustainability. And that's how you solve some of these fundamental problems with our construction sector. So that's actually our job. And that's why we have all of these standards. It's to build that bottom layer of the pyramid and fix productivity and sustainability. So there's a couple of new logos you'll see up here for the first time. You've got the validation service on the left and also the accelerator program. And I'll talk to those in just a moment. But also, it's nice to say that for the first time, we're actually allowing this logo to appear within the software vendor's products. So you'll start to see this in the ribbons within these products. If you want to do that, if you go to our website, look in the policy section under logo maps, you can find the details there. But I'm really pleased to see that. And it shows that actually we are being adopted more and more widely. But how does this all fit together? So if you take a really simple, basic construction project, you have an asset owner, designer, construction firm, facility management organization, and a supply chain at the bottom, which supports all of that. We can't throw a standard into this and hope it'll work. We have to think about how that whole system fits together, how all of those information flows work. And that means we actually need to be aware of the environment it sits in. So at the top here, we've got regulation and policy. On the right, you've got the software that the vendors provide to support that. From the bottom, you've got the workforce, which needs to operate in that system. And actually on the left, you need to define what information you want in this system and how it's going to transmit and sustain through the life of the project. So our job is to make this whole system work as a community. That's why we have so many logos. So if we start on the left-hand side here with the process definition, we've got 3 tools and services which support this. You've got the information delivery specification. So this is a new standard to help you define what your information requirements are through the life of the project and how you want that information to be communicated. And it's machine interpretable, not just machine readable. You've got the buildingSMART data dictionary, which allows you to very easily then expand your requirements and link them back into your local and national standards, your product definitions. And it also provides a portal into other data dictionaries as well. So we're trying to make this really easy to use. And then you've got use case management, where actually you can go and access the best practice of our community to shortcut the development of your use cases as well. So once you've set up how you want this system to work, you then actually need to make all of those arrows work, all of those communication flows between any organizations. So there's 3 parts to it. You specify your information, that's your IDS in your data dictionary. You then have the communication protocols themselves, so IFC being our flagship standard, but actually in future APIs, those connectors are going to become more and more important. But then we also need to think about the feedback loops. And you have your BIM collaboration format here. It's been around for a while. That's your human feedback loop, if I put it that way. That's how designers communicate with each other using the model as a reference to talk to each other and improve that design. But the new piece is the validation service, new logo. This is really important because this allows you to upload your file to this service and test whether actually you're exporting a valid IFC file. And if you are, that's great because it gives you confidence that what's flowing across these arrows is a valid file. We don't have those arguments about, well, it's your fault. No, it's my fault that it's not working. So this is a really, really important part of making this system work. And once we've done that, we then need to think about all of the other environmental aspects of this. So we have regulation and policy, for example. We do thought leadership to support that. We have software certification to support, giving us confidence that the vendor software can actually support this system. We provide professional certification, so training and education and certification for the workforce that has to operate within this openBIM workflow. And then we have a new service of this accelerator program where we're starting to work directly with organizations, construction firms, etc., who typically want to adopt openBIM practices, but don't quite know how to make it work in their organization. So we're helping them, advising them on how to do it, and then we're capturing all of those lessons to build a toolkit that we can then send out across the industry to help lots more organizations quickly adopt these openBIM workflows. So again, really important part of it. So actually, what we are doing through those logos is trying to make every aspect of this system work. And I think we share these slides afterwards. I see lots of phones out, and that's fantastic. But don't worry, we will make this stuff available as well. So that's why it's so busy. That's why it's so complicated. We need to make every single part of this system work. But just to call out 1 or 2, these are perhaps the most important. So that combination of IDS to specify what you want, data dictionary to expand it, IFC to communicate, and then data validation to give you the feedback loop. But that's probably your core openBIM workflow. And that all exists now. So data dictionary, fully operational, growing in users, growing in content. Thank you for supporting it. Make more use of it, please. It's a fantastic service. You've got the IDS. That's now published as a buildingSMART candidate standard. So it's there. You can use it today. IFC 4.3, the next generation of our flagship standard. ISO have now approved that to progress to the very final stage of balloting, the FDIS process. That will hopefully start any day now. I'm hoping this week, perhaps. That means the vote should be done before Christmas, and by the end of the year, we will be going through the process to publish this as an accredited new ISO standard, which is a huge step forward. And thank you to all of you who've supported that. And then you've got the validation service. It's probably the least mature of all of these, but it still exists as a beta test version. If you go to validate.buildingsmart.org, you can find it, you can use it, it's free to use, you can upload your files and get the feedback from it. So this ecosystem works today. We need help investing in improving it and making it easier to use, but it exists today. And then just to call out a couple of other areas to focus on. Use case management, and I bring this up because it's a service that's been around for a while, but it's probably an untapped resource. I think we can do a lot more with this as a community. So this allows you to share best practice. It allows you to take advantage of the best practice shared by others. And if you need, it actually helps you build your use cases themselves. So there's going to be a workshop later this week. I think it's on Wednesday, if I got it right. Yeah, Wednesday, 9:30, if you want to find out more about this. So please go along to that workshop, see what's there to offer. But it's a service that I think we can make far more of in our community. And then professional certification. We've had the foundation level of this on the left-hand side for some time. but we've now successfully trialed in several countries this year more advanced practitioner and management levels, so to support actually more advanced users of openBIM. So we are going through the process at the moment of internationalizing that. We're doing the English language version. That will be completed at the end of the year. So next year, you will have this as an international training and accreditation program. And then we'll be going through the process with local chapters of translating this into more languages so we can spread it out. And in due course, there'll be expert levels to appear on the right-hand side of this, won't there, Celine? I'm looking for a nod. Excellent, I've got a nod. So lots going on. The timings of these things are captured by our strategic roadmap. This was published after our last summit in Rome. You can find it in a blog on our website. This is a slight update. Actually, the timings haven't really changed, but we'll publish this after this summit. But what has changed is we're trying to call out more clearly how we interact with digital twins, which is an important topic for all of us. It's one of the main tools as an industry we have to improve our decision making, to improve that decision optimization. So along the bottom here, we're actually trying to show the fact that all of these standards and services are one of the foundations for all of the work that our industry is doing to improve the capability of these digital twins that exist today and are getting better. So we want to just clarify that relationship. But we are changing how we do the work to actually support and deliver these standards and services. And in the past, we've been structured almost entirely around our domains. And these domains have domain projects, and we go out to the community, to yourselves, and we seek sponsorship and funding and work in kind to support the activities of those projects, which generates benefits for that area of the industry. The issue we have is that actually there's more and more work that's happening centrally that supports multiple domains. So we have our technical and compliance roadmaps under Léon and Celine, and an awful lot of that work you saw, validation service, IFC5, etc., falls into this central bucket. And at the moment, what we do is we take small contributions from lots of different domain projects and stitch it together and try to muddle through. And that doesn't pass the test that Ian talked about from Slovenia. How do we do more, go faster, professionalize? So what we're going to do is replicate that domain project model, but at a central level under these strategic projects. So I'll be writing to all of our members and potential sponsors after this to set out more details. But we're going to be asking people, actually, if you also want to not just contribute to a domain project, but to contribute to our development of some of these strategic projects in the center, because that's how we actually make progress, which benefits all of the domains in our organization. We'll provide more details in due course, but I've listed here the 8 areas that are really a priority for us. And you can see things like data validation, IFC5, and others there. So we will share all of this, but we can only move as fast as a non-profit organization as actually our community, our generous sponsors allow us to. So we need your help if we are going to go faster and develop some of these processes and projects and standards in a more agile, professional manner. Give you a couple of examples of what that looks like. If you take data validation, it's a beta test version today, but actually, if we want to develop this into a production standard stable platform, we need to finish off those blue modules there. That takes funding. But we don't want to stop there, because actually we recognize that for some of you, you don't want to be transmitting your IFC files over the internet to our servers. You want to do this behind your own company firewalls, and I understand that. So actually, all of those red modules in the development path get to a point where you could actually operate this service behind your own servers, behind your own firewalls, to save you transmitting the data over the internet. And I can see real benefit to some companies in that. So there is development money needed to get these services to that really sort of high-end capability. I should have built this slide earlier, shouldn't I? I'm learning. Same with IFC5. There's a technical development path there, which gets us to the technical completion of IFC5. But then actually we need to think about how you move through the ISO process as well. So again, if this is of benefit and value to companies, we need sponsorship and funding to help us take these steps along this path. So I'm going to change tack a little bit now and move away from some of the technical components. We will share more of this. Please talk to me, talk to any of the senior sort of BSI management team this week if you've got questions or you're interested about this. This is really important for us, though, because this is how we move faster as an organization, and we provide these services that support the whole community. So we need this to work, and we need your help. But changing gear. We talked about growing in terms of chapters, and actually just this week, we will be reviewing an application from Serbia as a new chapter. We've got 4 new members to announce. So you'll see LeapThought and SierraSoft up there. Fantastic to have them as members. They're generous sponsors of this event today as well. We've got Orbitz engineering firm from Saudi Arabia. Schindler Lift Company from Switzerland joined us as well recently. So great to see these organizations. I see more photos, I'll pause. Obviously got reps in the audience from some of these organizations. We've got a new domain to announce. And we have now established a maritime domain, which is really representative of actually the growing interest around the world in marine engineering in all its forms. We've got several companies in our organizations involved in helping support this, but actually there's been real leadership and direct support in actually kicking this off and getting it moving from one of our strategic members, CCCC. So I'm delighted to welcome to the stage Mr. Boying from CCCC, who's going to just talk for a couple of minutes about some of the domain activities.
Thank you.
I'll do this for you if you want.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you, Mr. Clive. It's my privilege to be invited here to introduce the new Maritime Domain. We signed MOU with buildingSMART on the 21st, 2027 in Beijing, as shown in this photo. For the purpose of the new Maritime Domain, we have been engaging with several new partners. For the Maritime Domain, you will find more details on Wednesday dedicated slides. As you know, the maritime engineering includes immersed tunnel, offshore wind power, and large-scale marine farms, and so on. It plays a significant role for blue economy and possibly promote the ocean environmental well-being along with the human society. So CCCC is ranked as the #3 in the largest international contractor by ENR. We have built large-scale projects such as Hong Kong, Zhuhai, Macau Bridge, and the Donghai Bridge, and the offshore wind power plant, etc. Based on the top-class projects and along with our partners, we are proposing the new Maritime Domain. The main goal is to promote comprehensive industry digital transformation to achieve an open and full cycle collaboration in the design, construction, and operation for the maritime engineering by establishing an international consensus on the digital maritime engineering. The immersed tunnel will be the first project to be carried out by the new Maritime Domain. The CCCC is dedicated to concluding the engineering practices into the FC standards, along with our partners, by following the FC standard process. Regarding the roadmap development, we plan to gradually cover offshore wind power and large-scale marine farms and offshore floating structure. Finally, we are here to open to the more interested partners to sincerely invite you to join us together to further grow the new Maritime Domain. Please contact us through these contacts. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you very much. So really exciting to have a new domain. And actually, there's other potential domains out there as well. So we have a meeting this week with a number of our power transmission operators to look at actually whether we've got enough critical mass in the industry now to create a new domain, or actually, do we just need to add a whole load more work into our electrical domain? Don't know. We can do it either way. But I think there's real interest now in additional work in the power transmission world. We continue to talk to people around healthcare, water, even actually, there's other areas beyond that. So if you're interested in supporting new domains and expanding the work that we're doing already, please come and talk to one of us in the buildingSMART management team. And we will see what we can do to put you in touch with other industry representatives and build consensus around these. And then we're quite busy in a few other areas as well. So our European chapters have a meeting this week to discuss a potential EU forum. And this is really important because the European Union is one of the most significant bodies out there in terms of actually setting the trend around legislation, regulation, standards. And at the moment, we don't really talk to the EU with one voice. We talk to it with many voices through many different European chapters. So we've got a proposal here to actually better coordinate how these chapters come together to present a single voice to the EU, and indeed actually a single ear back to take on board the EU direction of travel. So we'll debate that later this week, but it's a really important initiative. We're trying to do more in terms of publications, outreach, communication. So thank you to all of you who are doing podcasts. That's brilliant to see. We're doing quite a few of those at the moment. We're trying to do more blogs. And again, appreciate your support with that. We publish white papers, etc. So this is a big part of that outreach, that thought leadership. We have strategic groups, which are there as one of our means of think tank type work, thought leadership, thinking where our community goes in future to drive the work of the domains. If I take one as an example, sustainability. We have huge overlap between what we do and actually the UN sustainability goals. So we have a sustainability strategic group, which are meeting again this week. This is a working summit to think about actually how we can build a program of work within our community that uses IDS and data dictionaries and our other tools to really move the needle, move the dial in terms of our impact on sustainability in our construction sector. Important work. We then have our awards program, really exciting part of this summit. It's always great at this time of year because we have had a huge level of interest in the awards this year. I thank you to all of you who've contributed through submissions, allowing people in your organizations to put submissions in. All of you who are jurors as well, because that voluntary effort to mark these, assess these is a hugely important part of the process. So thank you to all of you who've done that. The next 2 days, these finalists will go through their final interviews with our elite jury panel. So again, thank you to those of you supporting it. And we'll announce the actual winners on the dinner on Wednesday night. But I would say anyone who's on this list, you are a leader in the world in your sector. You should be really, really proud of being on this list. And I congratulate you on getting there. I wish you luck for the next stage. But that is a very significant achievement in its own right and one that you should be absolutely proud of. So congratulations. Well done. Now, I think Aidan's actually touched on this maybe already, but we're always asked, because people can't live in the present, can they? They always look to the future. So what's next? What's after this summit? Well, that's the details. We're in Spain, 12th to the 15th of March next year. I'll wait for the camera phones to go down, and then I know that you've lodged that in your diaries. But let's not get too far ahead of ourselves, okay? We have a really, really busy week ahead of us here. That's the evidence to say we're busy. Remember all of those logos. We'll test you on them as the week goes by. But look, it's a fantastic program. I appreciate all of you being here. I appreciate your contributions that I know you're going to give throughout the week, because this is not just us talking to people. This is a two-way summit. It's meant to be interactive. We need feedback from the community. We have workshops. This is where the work gets done. So please, throw yourselves into it, get involved, and thank you so much for all your support to what we do. It's the voluntary community that we sit with here, and the efforts that you all put into this are hugely appreciated. With that, thank you very much. Have a good week.
Thank you very much. Oh, God. Thank you very much, Clive. Almost fell up the stairs. Thanks, cheers. Thanks, Clive. Really interesting to see the just huge scale of activity that's going on with buildingSMART International. And it does also, you mentioned, Clive, doing more for less is really, really important, but also really driving better outcomes. And if you reflect back to I think, Ian, you mentioned when the UK government really tried to get behind and drive the development and the professionalization of digital tools, and it led to the BIM mandate. That was all driven because there wasn't any money around. We were really trying to do loads and loads of things, and they just weren't the funding. And I suppose you look forward to where we are now. It's very similar sort of scene we're in now. So it's really important that these tools are professionalized and these tools are really driven forward. So thanks for sharing all that work, and thanks for setting the scene for us. But we're gonna delve a little bit more into what actually BSI is up to right now. Let me introduce our next speaker, Léon van Berlo, Technical Director at BSI. I think you're going to be joined by Artur, Tomczak. Léon, you're going to just really delve a bit more into what's going on and what those real technical innovations are and what happens next. So the floor is yours. Thanks, Léon.
Thank you. So yeah, indeed, always when you put a lot of logos on one slide, the camera phones go up, and it always works really well on PowerPoint. But it also needs to work really well in practice. That's what we're all here for, of course. So, so that's why Aidan wanted to do some openBIM in action. So just send Léon to the stage, do openBIM in action. But then you get these typical Van Berlo questions. What does it actually mean? What is open, and what is then BIM, and what do you mean with action? What do I need to do on stage? So let's run through that from the beginning, because usually every project starts with a great idea, and then you try to convey that idea to someone else, and it kind of gets messed up, tangled in translations. So that's why we had this wonderful idea to start drawing stuff, and we got really good at drawings. We got standards to do drawings. I still think the most underestimated standardized approach of drawings is that every engineer automatically turns his head to the left to read the drawings, because that's how we standardized. It was really good. And then we got digital, so we got really good at doing digital drawings, and then we got smarter with digital, and we got virtual buildings, and eventually settled on the term BIM. So we can now automate tasks. We can do a lot of things automatically. And a lot of very smart things automatically as well. So this is what everyone in this room probably does every day. This is what it's all about. So this is BIM in action, right? This is why we need to do this. So are these BIM standards in action as well? That's the question. So why are standards so important? Standards are important because we need these different software tools that create data and do the simulation to actually have the same interpretation of data. If we do a cost estimation, you need to make sure that that floor part in a staircase is considered a floor part, or is it a staircase? That kind of makes a difference if you want to do scheduling, planning, etc. We want to do this automatic processing, not that you create data and then have to manually still tell the software tool that does the simulation what everything means. That's the reason why you have standards, to make sure that this is indeed, as Clive said, not just computer readable, but actually machine interpretable. And finally, if you do this a lot of times, you can do comparison and learning. It is indeed always nice to see the phones popping up. It's cool. So this is why standards are so important. So BIM standards help us to do these automations and simulations. That's why we're here, right? We want to do these digital twins. We have a lot of challenges to make sure that we have the outcomes of the simulations as early as possible in the design process, so we can still make a lot of these changes according to the McLeamy curve. These standards are important to do these automated simulations. So why do we need open? Why do we need open BIM standards? Why is open so important? And with open, I mean, this is a bit vague here. An open standard is a standard that's openly accessible and usable by anyone. So it's not about openly sharing your project data with everyone. It is about your private project data that you only share with the people you want, but is specified according to an open definition. Why is this so important? It's important for long term, because you can do short term, just pack everything in one software tool that also does that simulation, and it works, and we move on, right? Typical construction industry. We have a task, execute the task, we go to the next task. But for the long term, open standards give you a lot more flexibility and give you the power to control your own direction. Another reason why open is so important in open standards is because we don't want one organization, whether it's a software vendor or whatever kind of organization, to define how data standards should be defined. This should be done by consensus, by global consensus, by international consensus, to be able to facilitate the most common use cases. And in the end, for me, the most important one, we need open standards. So you have the ability to choose the software tools you want in your workflow. You can control your own digital destiny. You can swap different tools if you want, go into different directions and explore. This is really where you can pick and choose the things that work best for your productivity workflow. And that's also why we have so much logos, indeed. So again, these logos always work really well on PowerPoint slides, and we have a lot, and we just keep on creating more. But let's actually put them in action, because we have a lot of abbreviations, there's a lot of logos, but in the end, it's not that difficult. You can do it. So instead of me doing the action on stage, I actually want to challenge you to do this. You can do this. There is a lot of different tools out there. You have a lot of different choices. So let's build something together. Let's start with creating information requirements. Imagine we're going to do a building. We'll do infrastructure later. We do energy simulation, or we need to do this new European law with product data templates. So a typical project always starts with, let's create information requirements. So what do we need? We have a Mentimeter and everything, so you can put in stuff, but I only have a little time left, so we're going to do shouting. I'm sorry, Aidan. This is mayhem, I know. What are we going to do? Yes. Stairs. Wonderful. So what do you do if you need stairs? Because we just said that we have BIM standards and they need to be open. So where is an open definition of stairs? How many are there? Which one are we going to choose? How do you search and choose these things? I'm really looking forward to the time where I do this talk and the whole crowd says, BSDD! Yay, BSDD! So please welcome to the stage Artur Tomczak, our BSDD product manager.
Hello, everyone. Yes, I'm Artur Tomczak, and I'm the product manager of BSDD, so the buildingSMART solution for data dictionaries. Even though I'm not Norwegian, I live here in Oslo, so I would also like to take this opportunity to welcome you to Oslo. And data dictionaries, those are basically collections of concepts with explanations of the definitions and explanations of attributes to describe data, basically. And BSDD is one of the solutions. It's a solution to share those data dictionaries. And the concept of data dictionary is not really unique to our domain. It's also used in other domains. For example, NASA has a data dictionary for planetary systems, but I'm sure you will also understand that that is not rocket science. You can all use data dictionaries. So if you want to learn more, I welcome you to the sessions on Wednesday. We have 3 sessions on BSDD. One is introduction, and we have also user stories with our guests, and then we have some updates. So please join the BSDD sessions. And now back to the challenge.
Yeah, I guess it's up to you. Someone said stairs, so let's open the BSDD and search for stairs.
Yes, I hope you can see it. So this is the BSDD search page. Let's look for stairs. I think I also heard those. It was supposed to be CCI. Okay, so we look for definitions in BSDD. We find those that are interesting to us. We might look into particular data dictionary from certain country or from certain context. We can open that definition. Here we can read more about what it actually is. We can read where is it coming from, how do you describe it, who is the author, what are the properties to describe it. But in our case, we just want to copy the identifier. So this is a unique identifier that describes this object. And let's copy this to our spreadsheet. And the requirement was
What was the requirement? Ole was shouting it, right?
Model needs to have stairs, right?
Model needs to have at least one staircase, at least one flight of stairs. Let's go for that.
Okay, you have it.
And then when you scroll down, there was more on the page, right, for the stairs?
Yes. Here you have different, in this case, only one property that allows to describe stairs. In this case, this is a construction method. This is a property coming directly from the IFC. So would you like to have this as well in your requirement?
But this is an IFC property. This is not a CCI property.
True, because
how does it work?
Yes, the data dictionaries allow us to connect them to each other. So this data dictionary is coming from CCI, but it reuses the same properties that already exist in different data dictionary, in this case, IFC. So if we open this, we can go directly to the construction method property of IFC and look more what's there. So let's add a second requirement, right? That says that all stairs need to have construction method. And we can also copy that this construction method should have this identifier. Okay, anything else?
Cool. Yeah, anything else? Can we remove the walls, by the way? Walls and fire rating is an example that I've seen enough of.
Okay, let's delete it.
What else do we need besides stairs?
Spaces.
Spaces, doors. Do I hear beams? I need someone that says beam. Beam, thank you. Yes, we need beam. Let's search for beam.
Okay. Needs to.
Because then we have this nice link with Artur's PDT presentation tomorrow where he also uses beams. So thank you for shouting beams.
Good. Yeah, I can also look up for beams. Let's take, IFC beam. Okay. And the properties on beams, we have a lot actually in IFC, so plenty to choose from. Okay, I can randomly select maybe the concrete cover. Okay, I will just type it here, so we save some time. Okay,
cool. So yeah, I'm looking at the time. So last one, is there again this Dutch thing with pancakes going on this summit or not? Do we have pancakes in BSDD?
I will have to check. I'm afraid we might not, but
well, I'm quite sure because I prepared.
Oh, we have maker. Yeah, it's coming from eTeam.
It's coming from eTeam. What a coincidence.
Nice.
And what's that Twitter star you have there?
Oh, yeah. So this is a content that was verified by our experts. So we can be sure that this content is legit and we can use it for referencing in our model. So we not only say that an object in our model is a waffle maker, but we can also say that it is, the meaning can be seen if you go to that page and you can look up who invented this name and who gave it the code EC000590. So let's copy the identifier and we can put it here. So there needs to be one waffle maker in the model.
Yeah, let's go for it. Why not? All right, so I only have 6 minutes left and also a couple of slides. So let's stick with these, how much do we have now? 3, right? So flight of stairs, beams, and a waffle maker. So this is quite nice because you see we have an actual IFC object. We have a national classification that is linked to IFC, thanks to what Molio has been doing in the BSDD. And we have an eTeam standards that is not linked to IFC, but we can still use together with IFC thanks to this. So I know that many of you in the room now say, yeah, but this is buildings. This is easy because buildings are easy. You need to do infrastructure because that's the real work and that's where power comes in. So let's do actually 2 challenges, one for buildings, one for infrastructure. And again, looking at the time, what should we do for infrastructure? Let's do a road with an alignment and some signs. Because after this, you are going to be challenged to turn this into an IDS file and into an IFC file. And then on Wednesday, we are going to compare the IDS files and the IFC files. So we're going to do this whole process in 3 days. So you can pick if you want to do the buildings one or the infrastructure one. All right. Last couple of slides. So we created. Thank you, Artur. Thank you very much. So I have 5 minutes left and a couple of slides to go through. So we now created these information requirements with the help of the BSDD. So the challenge is now create an IDS file. With only 3 requirements, this should be doable in like 10 minutes or so. That's the whole reason why I want to do this together with you, to show how easy it is and how many software tools are already available to be able to do this. So share the file by the end of the day. Give us like half an hour to still fine-tune and tweak the Excel sheet with that we just created with some additional links, and we need data types on properties as well. So give us like half an hour. I'll give you the link to it after this presentation. And then the challenge to you is create an IDS file by the end of the day. Should be easily done. We're going to publish this on user.buildingsmart.org/summit. So the link to the Excel sheet is there, and that's also where there's an upload link to upload your IDS files. I'll wait for the phones to come down. All right. And then with that information requirements, with this IDS file, you can obviously start to create an IFC file with stairs, waffle makers, and beams, or if you do the infrastructure one, a road with an alignment and signs. So many of you that are a little bit cheeky understand that you don't have to wait for the IDS file. At the end of the day, you can already start with this as well. Today, of course, you have until Thursday morning to do this. And again, we'll publish all of the produced IFC files online. So also make sure that you're creating an IFC file that you're allowed to share with us. Then we're going to use the validation service on Thursday morning, or you can do it the night before, because indeed, as Clive said, it's still in beta, so it might take some time. And then on Wednesday, we're going to check the IFC files against the IDS files and share the results of those checks with BCF, and maybe even demonstrate a couple of the new OpenCDE APIs. So again, we just created information requirements with the help of a BSD. The challenge now to you is create an IDS file from this by the end of the day. So you'll see me again on stage around 5 when we're all tired and jet lagged. The people who created an IDS file have the opportunity to present it tomorrow morning, 9:30. And the people who are interested how to create such an IDS file, please come look tomorrow morning at 9:30. To all of the others that already did this. I know there's quite some vendors in the room that have no problem doing this and will be presenting tomorrow. So we'll have to check how many time each vendor gets as well. Talking about time, I have 2 minutes left. So file by the end of the day, presentations on how you created the file tomorrow morning, 9:30. Then creating an IFC file. If you want to present how you created the IFC file, come present Wednesday morning at 9:30. We only accept actual presentations of the file that you created for this. So no look at how wonderful my tool is and blah, blah, blah. No PowerPoint, just show the file. And then, of course, the presentations Wednesday, where we live are going to check IDS against IFC. Wednesday at 4, this is going to be complete chaos with software tools that break down and HDMI cables that don't work. So it's wonderful. Please all join. So this is the agenda. Again, there's a whole page that explains this in detail. That also says you need to use IDS 0.9.6 and et cetera, et cetera. So a lot of the details here. There's also a link to the live Excel file that we just created. but please, again, give us half an hour to tweak it a bit more. So, everyone got the picture? Wonderful. Then just to get this in a bigger context with 50 seconds to go, this is the standard process that you have requirements, you create an IFC, you check, but then you still don't have a simulation. We still don't have an energy simulation. So this is just a preparation process to make sure we have the correct data structured correctly to actually do something with it. So this doing something with it, sending to an online simulation tool, or to whatever kind of facility management, permit checking, whatever, that's the reason why we're doing all this, to make sure that this data is structured to be able to automate these simulations. And obviously, these requirements that we just made up are then logically also coming from these simulation tools. So we expect simulation tools to say, if you want to do energy simulation, if you want to do a building permit in the UK, these are the requirements, deliver your data like this. This is an IDS file on how to do it. And also the evaluation then comes back to how to create IFC files. So if you do this consistently, and you can call it a best practice, and you want to share that best practice with the rest of the community, then please do so with the UCM. Publish this in the use case management service so other people can benefit on how to do building permit checking in the UK or energy simulation in Germany or whatever. I have a red screen. I have no slides left. Thank you so much. I'm really looking forward to working with you on this and the challenge. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Léon. Thanks. Léon, before you go, just to reiterate, so where is all this happening? It's all on the app, and it's happening in the Atticus.
Yes, everything. All the sessions are in Akkerhuis room.
Where's that then?
I have no idea.
Out there somewhere. Right. There'll be signposts, and there's a lot of information on the app which tells people how to get involved and how to actually put those IDS presentations together.
Yep.
So go to the app and everything's there. Yeah. Brilliant. Everyone understand that? If not, buttonhole Léon at the coffee break, and he'll tell you exactly what he needs from him. Léon, thank you very much for doing a round of applause. Thanks. Goodness me, Léon told me there was quite a lot of detail in this presentation, so hopefully you got all that. It's a really, really fascinating area, and certainly one which you can all really get stuck into over the next few days and present your ideas back to the forum here. So do get involved, do go to the app, find out what's going on, and then if you can find Atticus room, then let everyone else know. There'll be a big queue outside it. Thank you very much. Right, that sets the scene in terms of what buildingSMART is up to at the moment, what's happening, what's changing, what's new, what you are going to get involved in. As Clive mentioned and as Ian mentioned, the whole of this organization, it operates not for profit, it operates because it's supported by the industry. So for the next hour, we're going to hear from our 3 platinum sponsors today. We're going to hear from Contender, we're going to hear from Leap Thought, and we're also going to hear, first of all, from Autodesk, who are going to really set the scene as to what's going on in their world, and I suppose why they are really supporting the work of BSI building standards. So let's kick off. Let me introduce Autodesk. Well, slight change in program. It was going to be Carl Christensen. Unfortunately, Carl, I think he's unwell. He's got a bit of COVID. COVID just doesn't go away, does it? He's still suffering from that. So no matter. Marek Suchocki. Marek is going to actually lead us through this. Marek is Head of Industry Association Strategy and very well placed to talk us through what's going on at Autodesk and why you're supporting and getting so involved with BSI. Marek.
Thank you, Anthony. Yes. So good morning. When I came down at 8 o'clock for breakfast, I wasn't expecting to be here on stage. So I'm going to do an upfront apology if I skip over some of my slides by not knowing what the content is. So I've just been learning it. And I am not Carl Christensen, as was just mentioned. My name is Marek Suchocki. And I have been on stage previously at buildingSMART just under a year ago in Montreal. So hopefully I'll get through this and introduce you to a bit of a story. So we had hoped to have Carl on stage because Autodesk acquired a company based in Norway not long ago. So I'm going to go through the story of where we are going, as Anthony mentioned, which is Forma. But where did it come from? And it came from a company called Spacemaker. And Spacemaker was founded in 2016 here in Oslo. I was also delighted to see that Spacemaker adopted the monochrome branding on their door case, which we have in Autodesk, and I saw Bentley have gone that way as well. So saving on color ink is a good kind of direction to go. But yeah, it started up with a vision, and the vision was to address the challenges that we face in industry today. These are Spacemaker slides, so we're literally going back to 2016, 17, 18, when they were addressing things I'm sure most of you are familiar with, which is the global population explosion we anticipate to 2050. The fact that that population is also going to move into cities primarily. And the really scary thing is that we're going to have to potentially be building a city the size of Paris on a weekly basis. Now, we've had some pretty terrifying natural disasters in the last few weeks. So when we design these cities, we need to design them to be resilient against seismic issues, flooding, and of course, we've had a pretty tough summer from fire. So how can we analyze to minimize or mitigate some of the potential challenges we're going to face? And Spacemaker also talked about the issues that we face in our industry. Now, this room is full of people who are primarily on the kind of the cusp of technology. You're all great adopters, but I guarantee that in your countries, in your projects, there are people who are lagging and are still suffering from a digital divide where they're not leveraging the potential of technology, where we're not delivering value to our taxpayers. And I think Ian talked about, that we've got huge opportunity, building those cities every week, but we haven't got the people or the resources if we carry on doing things the same way to deliver that. So technology, and this is what Spacemaker realized, is a way to compensate for the lack of resource, but actually maybe do it better. So let's use digital to actually improve what we've done in the past, because we can learn from the past and encapsulate that into digital. And literally that was their kind of mantra, that they believe there's a better way to design our cities. And as I say, these are legacy Spacemaker slides. So really looking back at where this company set itself out from. And what's even more delightful is actually their early practices, those early kind of trials delivered results. One company had, they call it 100% productivity improvement. I can't work that out in my head. Does that mean they did it for free or, but effectively they did it in half the time. So they were able to achieve an outcome. Another delivered improvement in sea view. Now, if you're a property developer, you can sell apartments with sea views at a premium rate. So let's kind of maximize the value we can, and using technology, a bit of AI to identify where those opportunities exist. And also, another company saved a year in planning. This is pretty substantial. You get time to market is reduced. So Spacemaker were able to prove that their philosophy was working. And Autodesk was aware of Spacemaker, as I'm sure many other people were. And we, as Autodesk, acquired Spacemaker late in 2020. I don't think we had anything else to do because it was quite a quiet period. I'm sure you'll all remember 2020. Not much happened. But actually, even during the COVID crisis, Autodesk was able to negotiate and liaise with the Spacemaker team and brought them in. And one thing I'll point out, and I've been at Autodesk for coming up to 14 years, I'm really proud to say that Autodesk has acquired many companies during that time, and we always focus on acquiring technology and acquiring technology to fill a gap or fill an opportunity that we see in the market. And Spacemaker was absolutely one of those, where it's a cloud native toolkit. It's working in the cloud. And we saw that that's a direction we're going to go into. And I'll talk about that more in a moment. But, for us, Spacemaker was a jigsaw piece that we wanted to fit into our sort of technology roadmap. So let's sort of, looking back, generation one of Spacemaker was that Nordic focused toolkit. They picked up some lessons, and I'll come back to them in a minute, about learning that you can't just do it all in the digital. We can't forget the designer, the architect, or the engineer. What we've now been doing in the last few years is to bring the Spacemaker technology and refining it in Autodesk, learning about it, because obviously the Autodesk technical people needed to understand what is it that is in that SpaceMaker toolkit. And then we've used that now as a foundation for the kind of main focus of my presentation, which is around Forma. And rather than talk about it, hopefully this video will play. Yeah. So this is a video explaining what is Forma, and Forma based on the historic origins of SpaceMaker. So one thing we can do is we can grab data. So you can establish a contextual map. And I'm actually have for many years used Autodesk InfraWorks as a tool. This is doing very much the same thing. So build a contextual model by grabbing spatial data. We've got a partnership with Esri. There are sources of spatial data that will give you really improved understanding of where am I actually working? What's the topography like? What are the existing features? And then once you've built that contextual model, you can then use the tools within Forma to start building proposals. And proposals based on logical shapes. I actually worked over 25 years ago at the University of Reading in the UK, and we were exploring knowledge-based engineering, and we were trying to write rules-based designs, again, based on logical forms like squares, rectangles, T-shapes, L-shapes. Forma makes you do this really quickly and easily, and you get a kind of instant feedback on your proposal. But you can also do certain analyses. So, laying out parking, for example. And you can make different kind of judgments by also saying, well, it's not just the volume. We can actually go down into the buildings themselves and actually start laying out floor plans, because these are going to be real buildings. They will have offices. They will have accommodation. Obviously, going to have staircases, even BSDD staircases included. So we want to make sure that we understand the whole of the mass of the proposal, so that this is something real. It will have the required accommodation and use. And we can also do comparisons in the cloud. So now we're looking at two models. How do they compare? Do they meet our design intent and our client's requirements? More importantly, we can do live analyses. So whether that's sun analysis, wind comfort analysis, or even microclimates within zones. I'm sure all of us have walked down an avenue in a city and get blown by the wind suddenly rushing. We want to mitigate and minimize those kind of things. And of course, that could involve adding new physical assets to provide the best solution for the customer's requirements. And that, in a nutshell, is what Forma is doing today. So, we've embraced and integrated the SpaceMaker technology, and we've now provided a new platform so that you can actually go out and start looking at master planning, whether it's cities, university campuses, or any other large-scale investments, and do it in the context of where they're going to be placed. So let's move forward and talk a little bit more about Forma, because Forma is here for Autodesk to actually transform ourselves. We've always been prepared to reinvent what has been our baseline. So we've kind of used a language to explain to the normal public, and whether or not you want to use language like BIM 1.0, BIM 2.0, and moving on to BIM 3.0, it doesn't matter. It's trying to convey what is happening in our industry to the wider customers and wider public at large. And Autodesk has been there on that journey. So we took drafting. I learned as a civil engineer using different ink pens and using not just paper, but also foil, where you used a razor blade as your way to rub out errors. Well, luckily, we didn't have to do that, or Tipex was the other one. And then we went to CAD. So CAD allowed us to make changes without having to use a razor or a Tipex. And then from CAD, we in Autodesk, really took the industry to BIM as we have it today. And BIM allowed us to model. So we went from a lines and arcs to a model-based design approach. We then helped our users collaborate, leveraging the cloud. So that BIM 2.0 was cloud-based collaboration. And I go back to the COVID years, not long ago. If we didn't have cloud-based collaboration, can you imagine what it would have been like? But we all jumped into using tools like Teams, Zoom, but we also leveraged tools that allowed us to share our project information in the cloud. And we thought it was fine, it was natural. So many people I spoke to prior to that were objecting, saying, oh, well, I'm not really going to be sharing my information. Léon alluded to the fact that we need to make sure it's safe, that we're not sharing stuff that others can't see it. these tools exist here. There's many companies represented who provide technology to allow us to collaborate in the cloud. So the future of BIM, or whether it's going to be called BIM 3.0, is actually working in the cloud. And oops, let this slide move. Oh, there we go. Okay, so for us, Forma is now working and sharing in the cloud. So it's not just sharing data, but it's actually operating and working in the cloud. And that will create its own set of challenges because it's a behavioral change, it's a technology change. And I think we're going to learn on what works and what doesn't as well. The kind of the vision for us with Forma is that it will provide an ability to have an industry cloud. So the place where we can all work together. And that's not an Autodesk exclusive cloud. It's actually a new way of functioning because we're going to learn about what does and what doesn't work in terms of sharing object rather than, say, file-based data in the cloud. We want to unify BIM workflows because BIM workflows are very fragmented, particularly between disciplines and stages and phases of projects. What can we do better to minimize any of that sawtooth stuff? So the McLeany curve always talks about the fact that we have this kind of silo jumping and throwing information over it. Let's really start to smooth that curve as much as we can. And as I mentioned, this is about data, not about file-based working. So we're really trying to understand how can we work in an object way that is secure, safe, functional, performant as well. So that's the vision for Forma. So I say the vision. I've shown you a video of what it does today, but that's kind of where we're heading. And if we go back to that SpaceMaker slide about the productivity challenges, the opportunity, hopefully by working this way, we'll start to address some of those opportunities, whether it's improved collaboration, better decision-making. Let's focus on what are the outcomes that our customers are asking for. And of course, we're all talking about sustainable design. So sustainability will also be at the heart of the toolkit that we're going to be hopefully providing to you, the customers, as well. So lastly, let's just talk about Forma and what does it include and what will it include. So it's going to be having a number of features that include being sort of open by design. So let's just quickly talk about open. So we already include a range of APIs for people to plug in. In that video that I briefly showed, there was a car parking module. That's not an Autodesk module. That's come from a partner. So those partners already plugging in and working in that ecosystem. So there's opportunity to develop new features and functions that can be can augment the Forma toolkit. SpaceMaker used IFC from the outset. So it's been there. So there's no question that we are going to carry on not use IFC. It's there. It's already there. We're going to try and improve that. And I'm actually very pleased that I've got a number of colleagues here from our product teams who are also going to be able to, if you speak to them on our stand, share the investments we're making in IFC across a range of our products. So, IFC is absolutely at the heart of this. It's going to be one of the core ways we're going to share information, as well as things like BSDD and other of the components that buildingSMART shared earlier. So it's going to be open, and it is, as I said, it's cloud native. So it's really important to understand that this is going to be a big change, not just for you, but it's also a huge change for Autodesk because we're kind of reinventing ourselves. It doesn't, by the way, mean that we're stopping development of our current products. Not at all. We know that the foundations are huge and deep, but we're not succeeding in addressing those challenges if we carry on the way we have been. So by investing in this Forma platform, we're giving an opportunity to start minimizing the productivity issues, addressing sustainability, and of course, helping build those, Parises every week, if that's what's going to be the case. Just some other things, it's going to be, we could talk about frictionless data flow. I can't even tell you what that means. It's just a vision. But the idea is that we're going to make it much easier to share information because currently there is a huge amount of manual overhead needed. How can we make this easier? How can we make data sets connect to each other? These are the things we're going to explore, and we're going to explore them with you, the community. And lastly, we're going to use AI. And there was an interesting lesson from the SpaceMaker people, which I I looked up on. And actually, when they did their first release of SpaceMaker, they found that the customers, the users, were not particularly enamored of the toolkit because it was almost doing it for them. So it's like you push the button and then computer says yes or computer says no. So the refinements that have taken place over the years is they talk about AI on the shoulder. So AI is there to augment the architect or the engineer. It's not there to displace them. And I'll go back to my lessons when I worked at the University of Reading. We talked about do more creative work rather than more routine work. Computers are really good at knocking out the same kind of routine stuff. We, the designers, are the ones there who understand what's the actual need. We can make human assessments of what's good and what's bad. So let's use the computer to do that routine work, and then we can make better judgments and focus on stuff that makes us happier. I'm certainly not going to be enjoying my life if all I do is create lines and arcs CAD drawings or just standard models. But if I'm actually making better decisions on behalf of my customer, that's actually kind of a more interesting thing to do. And so that's really the direction that Autodesk is going to take with the embedding of AI and machine learning and leveraging all the lessons we've had for many years of generative design. So just kind of augment the designers. And of course, AI is providing new opportunities. So we're going to learn from what's out there, the kind of stuff that you may be playing with yourselves, and see what of that is actually going to add value, because everybody's talking about AI. It's so exciting. And yet, actually, not a lot of it is providing real value at the moment, but there will be more value we can glean. So that is also a kind of an exploration opportunity. And it's an opportunity for you, because if you're going to plug into the Forma platforms, then you can also use your modules to offer new services as well. I think with that, you're going to be pleased to know that I'm going to finish. I think I've got through my slides correctly. If you do want to learn more, then we've got some QR codes here you can look up. As I said, we do also have an Autodesk stand here. Feel free to come over and chat to myself or any of my colleagues, and we'll tell you what we know about Forma. But lastly, the reason we presented Forma to you today is it's come from here in Norway, in Oslo. SpaceMaker is a Nordic platform, and hopefully going to be the future of BIM for everybody. Thank you.
Marek, thank you very much indeed. Fantastic. Marek, thanks so much for dropping in at the last minute, and thanks for brilliantly navigating your way through Carl's slides. So brilliant stuff. I'm really interested in what you're saying about doing things faster, but also getting better outcomes. That's really, really exciting. I'm really fascinated also to hear what you're saying about the cloud. It is now the norm. People, I suppose, post-COVID, it is the norm. But this whole idea of also open by design and really using AI for doing stuff, which is allowing you to do stuff which is freeing your creativity. So brilliant stuff. Exciting product. So many thanks, Marek. Right, we're going to move on to our next sponsor, Leap Thought, and let me introduce Budi Susanto, who's a general manager, and Jeffrey Avina, director of North America. As I say, both going to talk to you now about why Leap Thought is really involved in buildingSMART and this conference this week. Over to you, Budi.
Okay, so thank you very much. This is Budi. I'm Jeffrey. This is the first time that Leap Thought's had actually the chance to be a sponsor, so I think I have to give you a little bit of background. So bear with me, and I'm going to start with an admission. Unlike most of you, I just didn't have the skills to be an engineer or a scientist. So I was forced to go that liberal arts route and had to study international relations and public administration and law. It's a different approach, but we're going to get to the same thing. And what I like the most about what Leap Thought does is that its approach is very conceptual and methodological to arrive at construction and impact. My personal career was actually through the United Nations. So I'm now the government affairs director for Leap Thought, but I started as a United Nations development worker in Asia, Africa, and Latin America. Very interesting learning, because in essence, I learned, number one, that no matter how high you rose in the UN, you were always a servant. You were a civil servant, there to serve at the behest of the government. And number two, you learn to listen. And you learn to develop long-term partnership and relationships. From the UN, I went to Microsoft and was the director of public affairs in the Middle East and Africa, and then government affairs in Asia. And my principal lessons there was that the private sector has a hard time listening sometimes. They also have a hard time forming long-term relation to government. And this can impact the way that we design solutions and we design product. What I liked about LeapThought when I met them was that they have that same conceptual approach. The conceptual approach, which is basically saying, we start with what your problems are. We want to work with you to co-create a solution, and we'll stay the course with you to make sure that it's working effectively. We've had some very good success, and Budi's going to be talking about that, but I wanted that to be the basis of understanding. One other comment I wanted to make is that Microsoft and my time there, I got a chance to watch them struggle with their own open source issue. I was there during the Steve Ballmer Harvard Business School fight, hold as much ground as you could and lose. And then the Satya Nadella period of open source, recognizing the importance of being involved in all areas because innovation was coming from everywhere in the economy, everywhere in the world, and from every segment. And that actually probably saved that company. And I presume that that is clearly noted just the way the markets have affected. I remember when I joined Microsoft, stock value of Microsoft was at 26. It's now over $320. I think that shows that Satya Nadella has done something right about embracing an open source reality. As to open standards, LeapThought has pledged allegiance to open standards almost since its inception about 15 years ago. So with that kind of as a basis, with that notion of trying to work closely with government, closely with the public sector and the private sector, we can talk about one of our principal products, which is actually Fulcrum Plus. Now, the thing about Fulcrum is it's only one of the solutions we've developed. With our CEO and founder, Ratnakar Garikipati, I've traveled throughout Asia presenting different solutions. But this is the one that's probably the most important for this conference. This is the one that's provided the most nexus. And this is the one that's been most effective in some of our key markets, including Singapore, where I think we have some of our colleagues from some of the key government agencies. So functionally, for us, when we think about what makes it work, how did you get audiences and people to move away from that legacy approach that was mentioned by our colleagues from Autodesk and consider the value of moving forward? You had to start by showing what was possible when you brought solutions which were AI empowered, which incorporated machine learning, and demonstrate the value. Now, for the public sector or for entity owners and operators, and even for general contractors, obviously costs and time are critical. In a case like Singapore, innovation is also a critical consideration, as is cost. Why innovation? Singapore is a small country. And to lead as they have so effectively in the ASEAN region for so many years, they have to continue to demonstrate that they're cutting edge, whether that was financial or as now in the area of development and industrial estates, et cetera. So what we've tried to do is work closely with partners to figure out what they need and co-create alongside them. Our teams are quite expansive. We have engineers in 5 or 6 different countries, so we're able to engage effectively. I think about the what's, and this is the bottom line. Sorry, but I work bottom to top. And partly this is about how you try to empower and transform leaders by giving them the time and the vision to see a project enumerated. I like part of that Autodesk presentation, which showed you how you can see models and maps. You're going to see more about that because we actually have ongoing product doing this right now with the Singapore government, and we've had it for 5 years. Connecting different ecosystems. I was just at a contact with a general contractor in Seattle just last week, and they were talking about within their own organization, they have 400 architects, many of them using different softwares, and that it's hard for them to be able to connect as CEO and CEO to what they're doing. Our position is it's great for people to use what they know. Wouldn't it be great to have some type of a product which can overlay that and help them all communicate together? That's what FULCRUMHQ does. It enables that communication. So without threatening where people are today, you can help walk them to where they're going to be tomorrow. It's working. We have actually in the last 5-6 years developed over a $200 billion market on this FULCRUMHQ platform, and it's expanding already beyond Asia, moving into the Middle East and now into North America. It works because it has demonstrable value to entity owners, to governments who can see that through this model, they can follow every component of what is going on in construction from design all the way through using the same model. This is something very interesting because when I think about open source, as I had in my time in Microsoft, everyone is working on trying to solve a specific problem, and they do. But then what happens when you have to try to connect that problem resolution to something at a different level or something horizontally across? It becomes very difficult. Someone needed to put the platform on the table. And that's what FULCRUMHQ tries to do. And again, it's also evolving. It evolved a lot thanks to the work of the Singapore government working with us and pushing us to make that model more effective. Infrastructure lifecycle. I've mentioned this notion of being able to start from the beginning and be able to trust your initial designs, having them proved through and continuing that through all the way through your construction cycle. And that means actually through verification, through different regulatory agencies. You're going to see something amazing that Budi will present about CoreNetX, which is the most amazing system I've seen in terms of automatic checking of regulatory approvals in the case of Singapore. Trying to blend machine learning to human learning. I appreciate the comment from our colleague from Autodesk because it's true. You want to be able to trust AI, but you also want to have the right to recognize your own skill set and know when you can trust it and when to say, you know what, I don't buy this and I want to have a deviation from this to make sure this is actually true and correct. You cannot just say, oh, because it's done by the machine, it's right. How many times have you driven with Google Maps and suddenly you're not going home anymore? So it's important that we do not give up our innate knowledge just because something's coming from a machine. However, it is nice to have a machine do some basic things you don't really have to do anymore. And if you can get the machine to carry out certain levels of checks and proofs, which can enable you to trust the model provided from one set of architects to your final design architects, to trust the specs provided from your subcontractors to your contractor, to trust the regulatory results, you've saved a lot of time and a lot of money. Lastly, in that box, it's a streamlining. I actually have, since I'm an American, as you've probably noted by my accent, I've turned hub into a verb. So I'm calling it hubbing in the sense for value. In essence, getting people to communicate across lines and systems where they never could before. The thing that I really love about the way that FULCRUMHQ is modeled right now is for those of us who are not that computer competent, you're doing it on what looks like an Outlook platform. You only have to have 3 or 4 screens and you can basically have all behind you this entire system which is carrying out this work and sending you signals and notations and communicating with your main offices, with people in the field who have their own platforms, et cetera, their own computers or tabs. And so it provides a system of complete integration. It's something which we've developed and invented with a lot of time and energy, taking advantage of COVID, actually. We grew a lot during COVID because we worked very closely with those who were driving us for this kind of change. These are the segments that we had involved ourselves with FULCRUMHQ. This specific solution, this specific leap thought solution, one of the various conceptual solutions that we drive. Transportation, energy, smart estates, integrated corridors, resources, core infrastructure. We have in our audience someone from LTA, which is basically driving this transportation work. We also have in our audience people from SGC for smart estates and integrated corridors. These are the folks who are actually driving this process. And coming back to part of my lessons from the UN, we in the private sector, we're not in charge of anything except trying to help you do everything. Our job is to help you do what you do better. Our job is also not to disappear. Our job is also not to be looking at bottom line, but to be looking at long-term relation. Every time we enter a relationship, we're looking to co-create. We're looking for the long-term relationship. We're looking for R&D opportunities. We've expanded significantly with universities in Singapore. We're doing it right now in our new headquarters in Washington State with Washington State University and the University of Washington. Our basic focus, our basic belief is that in the long run, as you move to open standards, you also have to move away from looking at small-scale solutions and look how whatever you are doing in an overall constructive process is connected to the greater whole. That was part of my UN experience. Look at the greater picture. And from that greater picture, recognize that each one of these elements is important, but they're so much more important if they can communicate. If you don't know what A is doing, then B is not benefiting. And having that conceptual overlay is going to be the future of helping this industry. I totally agree also with my colleague from Autodesk that there's a lot of companies which are way behind in this. And there's a lot of countries that are way behind in this. I happen to come from one of those countries, the United States. We are not very advanced in this space. And when I talk about the advances going on in Singapore, for example, as I do routinely, they are shocked and in disbelief. It is a process, but the open standards help this process move forward. And that's why we are supporters of this process. With that, I want to stop. I want to turn it over to Budi, who's actually on the ground working closely with our partners in the government in Singapore today.
All right. Thank you, Jeffrey. Good morning, everyone. Thanks for the opportunity to be sharing today. I have slightly less than 10 minutes, but I'll try to do something before I start to challenge the notion that, you know, people in the AEC industry is not very fun. But to challenge that, I'll need your help, all right? Just 3 seconds of your help. I'm going to take a Wi-Fi, and when I do that, I'll appreciate if everyone can just give a shout out, all right? Ready? 1, 2, and 3. Yeah, thank you so much. I think that is one demonstration of what, to build upon what Clive and Léon speaks earlier, openBIM. The openness itself does not really just applies to the technical aspects of things, but also mindset. To be able to embrace this openness, I think we have to have that open mindset to be able to collaborate together. And I think what we demonstrated earlier, you guys helping me to prove something about AEC industry is what we need moving forward. The slides that I have are going to be pretty dry, but bear with me. The main point that I would like to share with all of you is the concept of dynamic intelligence. It is something that we at LeapThought believe and build upon in FULCRUMHQ, but it's only enabled because of the good work that buildingSMART as an organization have done over the past many years. In order to take data standards and then apply machine learning to it, apply intelligence to it, and then practice it to the wider part of the stakeholders, be it owners, operators, contractors, consultants, so on and so forth, is underlined by the openness and the data standard itself. So we see here the FULCRUMHQ basically underlined by 3 main areas: smart and virtual enabled, BIM-enabled collaboration, quality checks, and then computational BIM-enabled compliance check. So these are the 3 main topics that I've tried to demonstrate through my presentation next 5 minutes. So what we have here is CORNET-X. CORNET-X is the next-gen regulatory approval platform. So what happens is that in Singapore, the way design is being approved, it needs to get routed to the regulatory authorities, LTA, PU, BNEA, 7 of them that handles road regulations, sewerage, water, national environment, so on and so forth, including fire safety. So what the consultants or designers need to do is that submit it through CORNET-X in 3D model, let it be processed by machine first, pre-checks, and then including the quality checks, and then routing it to the 7 agencies that's involved in approving them. The 7 agencies collaborate together within the same platform such that there's no time lost when they are collaborating with another agencies, and then return the result as one whole package to the submitter. So that's what CORNET-X is about. And it's built upon the cloud-based 3D viewer that we have seen on the screen here. Okay, the video is supposed to play, but it brings you the richness of a 3D viewer such that human can intervene, they can measure, they can create pre-checks, the machine can then help them to create the quality checks that were supposed to help them. And then this is how the various stages of the life cycle of the project built. So you see the data or the building representation here gets built up as we progresses all the way to the asset completion. And each of these stage, we have machine checks all through. All right. Okay, I think, yeah. So this is the federation of the model within the 3D viewer. We are federating IFC files, and then you have the basic navigational tools. I do not have enough time to actually let all the videos run, but we are out there. Please come and talk to us. Share your challenges. What are the things that preventing us from collaborating further at these current stages. Happy to chat more. So the earlier part, we see the basic navigational tool that is human can intervene. Here we see the machine checks on how we calculate whether it's a refuse path for the refuse truck, or model compare for the submission of the subsequent versions. If, let's say, consultants submit version 1, its quality check is not good enough, they submit version 2, we are able to tell what's added, what's modified, what is changed, such that the officer are able to see clearly. Okay. Pre-configured setbacks, if we are ingesting GIS, there are some regulations about road setbacks to your development, whether it's 3 meters, 5 meters. It can be pre-configured, or clashes. It can be pre-configured in the tools itself. Okay. Free text search for BIM data. Again, this is where openBIM comes in. Open data. Such that whatever that we input here can benefit not only the designers, but also the application at the site, whether it's QS, engineers, planners, all right? The additional parametric information that we built into BIM model then becomes valuable tools for the stakeholders to collaborate with. Okay. So the second part of things that I'm going to talk about, 2 minutes left. These are samples of what open data brings about. We can do trade-specific phase analysis, we can do cost analysis and progress payments, we can do system visualization. All this is underlined by, again, the work that buildingSMART has done. Yeah. This is a case study of the second part of the topic, which is the computational BIM-enabled compliance check. So as part of the CornetX pilot and part of the Housing Development Board Smart Design Platform, we developed an algorithm to do automated checks for preset rules. So what happened is that if you see this short video, we bring in the GIS layer, we calculate all your typical rules or existing rules, such as fire safety, staircase height, clear distance, pathway for escape, so on and so forth. So whether it's facade, got to do with your windows, or whether it's internal, headroom clearance, so on and so forth. Yep. Barrier height. Yeah. And then we completed 150 rules. As part of the checks. This shows how the thinking process behind it. It's important what Léon said, establishment of the data standard that we can then think through and then let machine learn through the thinking process. It covers, we distill it into a few underlying principles such as geometric, parametric, pathfinding, setback and projections, computational. Sorry, I'm just flying through the slides because I'm running out of time. Shape-related analysis. Yeah. So here we can see how does, for example, ray tracing and pathfinding are at work for calculation of the furthest distance of escape that you have within room. And once it is defined, the machine are able then to take these checks and then check it through the model that you pumped in. Okay. This is an example of the machine understanding the runway path or the refuse chute travel distance, and then being able to model the path within IFC. Okay. Okay, there are lots of work that we've done. This is again for housing development. So calculation of concrete usage index, precast index, HDB in Singapore, we utilizes a lot of DFMA, whether it's precast bathroom or precast unit, 3D precast units, and being able to identify which is precast, which is in situ, what's your index throughout the development, how we are calculating also for sustainability, green mark, preset green mark criteria. All right. And lastly, what I'm going to bring is the quality checks. So for quality checks, we are able to pump in parametric information, again, back to the standardization of asset information requirement or employer's information requirement, and then bring it to let the machine learn, set up the path, set up the thinking path, and at the end of the day, pump out the information of pass, fail, to note, so on and so forth. And sorry, I'll just fly through it. Again, the 3 items that we are talking through this morning. Happy to chat further, but underlyingly, all this is going to be presented in dashboard such that it's human interpretable. And yeah, that's the end of my presentation. Sorry to fly through so much because I think it's there's a very limited time, but happy to chat with you. Myself, Jeffrey, JD, and Pritam will be outside. Yeah, thank you so much.
Thanks, Jeffrey. Thanks, Budi. Sorry you had to fly through that, but time is against us, and I need to get you guys out to some coffee in a few minutes' time. So do go and see Jeffrey and Budi outside at the break. But we're going to hear just finally from our last sponsor. We're going to hear Håvard Bell, founder and CSO of Catenda. Håvard, do join us, and Håvard, you're going to be joined by Adachi-san, I believe. So over to you. Tell us about Catenda and why you're here and what you got up your sleeve, so to speak. Håvard.
Thank you very much. This is my favorite conference of all. And why is that? It's because we're here to build something together that is bigger than ourselves. I could stand here and talk about, thank you. I was planning to talk about how great our product is, but you all know that, so I'm not going to bother you with this. Instead, I'm going to talk about how being open has made business sense for Catenda. There we go. Thank you. So this is how it looked like in 2009 when we started Catenda. One of these guys, Lars, is in the audience today. He started on what is now buildingSMART Data Dictionary in 1999, if you can imagine such an old number. This is us a few years later, but the point I'm making now is that when we asked these guys what should be our core value, every single one of these guys said open. So being open, using open standards, being open with each other, that was the core value of Catenda that started here. And being open is something very powerful. I think everyone intuitively can understand that if you do something openly, it has something more and can gain more and create more than doing it closed. Leonard Cohen says there is a crack in everything, but that's where the light gets in. And that's where you generate innovation. In 2022, we grew a little bit, but we asked everyone why they started at Catenda and why they continue working there. And every single one of them said, because we're open. The open core value was why they were attracted to Catenda, why they're still working there. So at Catenda, we want to be open, we strive for quality, and we build trust. So that's what we are. And why is that? I don't know how many of you have seen this picture, but this is the pale blue dot. And what you see in that little circle is everything you've ever known, every single person. It's you before you were born, everyone that has created where we are today, everything you know about is here. This is Earth. And we think it's beautiful enough, so we want to preserve it. And that's why the mission of Catenda is to make our industry 100% sustainable. Obviously, we cannot do this by ourselves. We need some help. But why do we want to do that? Well, this is a picture of a conference place that one of my colleagues went to in the USA. I think it was last year or the year before. Last year. And this is a picture he took from his room when he arrived. Now, this picture was taken by his mother the day after. And it was a big hurricane coming in, and everybody was luckily evacuated and sent home safely and everything. But his mother was very concerned when she saw this on TV. And it tells you that the planet we're on right now will get some heavy winds, heavy rains, heavy snow, much higher temperatures, much lower temperatures, and we somehow have to deal with it. But before it gets too far, we would like to make it more sustainable. And this organization right here, buildingSMART International, is creating enormous value towards that goal. Building standards makes it much easier for us to make proper decisions that are environmentally friendly. So this organization and all of you are creating enormous value for our planet, and that's why we like. This guy, Don Tapscott, is a Canadian writer and academic, and he has defined 4 principles of openness. They're collaboration, transparency, sharing, and empowerment. And at Catenda, we do encourage collaboration internally in our company. We're actually using BCF as a communication protocol to communicate between each other. And we're also encouraging collaboration with our customers. So we do have large clients, international clients that we're collaborating very closely with to build the next generation of workflows that they need. So collaboration makes business sense for us. The other thing is transparency. Every single month, we share every single financial and data about our company and the status we're in to all the employees. There's nothing we hide inside Catenda if you're working there. And we try to be as transparent as possible with every single client we work with our customers, in our sales meetings. We try not to lie. We try not to build anything bigger than it is. We say it as it is, because it makes business sense for us and it builds trust. And finally, we're sharing, not finally, but we're sharing internally between sales and development, between management and everything. We share everything we can, because the more information everyone has, the better it is, and the more innovation we can do. And as an example of that, today we have 20 minutes on the stage. We're sharing that with Kajima and Japan to tell you about how a country is also seeing that being open has some power for you. And finally, empowerment, we're giving a lot of responsibility to every single person inside Catenda, because the more decisions can be taken, the furthest closest to the problem itself, the better it is. So everyone has ability to take a lot of decisions. So we empower everyone with a lot of responsibility, and it makes a lot of business sense for us. So being open is very, very, productive and value created for us as a company. And I wanted to share that with you today, because it's about being open and talking together and collaborating and sharing and innovating. And this was about a journey of a company, a small startup. We're growing, but we're using open as a powerful sort of engine inside our company towards the outside to build value together with everyone in the AEC industry to make it 100% sustainable. Now, how is that going to work for a whole country? Well, that is something Mr. Yoshi is going to tell you. He is one of the founders of the property sets that you see inside the IFC model that he worked on for a very long time ago. Maybe before he worked, no. He has a PhD within swarming robots that are flying around in the sky to do stuff. And one of the most knowledgeable and intelligent persons I've ever known. So Yoshi, please.
Okay. Hello, everyone. I'm talking about another openBIM story from Japan. So my title is openBIM Initiatives in Japan. Okay, at first, I'd like to share a national BIM program in Japan. So MLIT, Ministry of Land Infrastructure, Transport and Tourism of Japan, started national program named Digital Transformations for Building and City. in 2023. This consists of three major components: BIM, of course, and 3D city model development, and the real estate identifier. This digital asset will activate advanced and digitalized city planning and disaster prevention and green and CO2 mitigation and some mobility services. To realize these goals, the BIM is becoming a very important element so far. In the beginning, we started this kind of BIM data lifecycle to reach out the DX for building and city. There is a need to expand a BIM lifecycle to a new cycle in the right-hand side. To maintain the data accessibility in the long-term data accessibility, it would be many decades or even in century. The open and the stable data model standards must be the foundation. So that is the openBIM advantage here. So in particular, BIM and IoT linkage is becoming key technologies for digital twinning at this moment. So far, buildingSMART has been providing data model standards of infrastructure and building domains. Nowadays, the OpenCD API is expanding its role to improve data interoperability, not only BIM software, but also IoT ontologies, robot map, and AI platforms in the near future. So let's look into much more detail of DX program. IFC mandate for building code check is very new topics in Japan. So this is an overview of MLIT BIM initiative 2023. To accelerate DX process, MLIT set the high priority on BIM for building code checking and started the BIM subsidy program this year, just this spring. And this is the fund size is up to approximately $55 million US. And this will cover the expenses of BIM software license, CD services, and the BIM-related trainings as well. In 2025, IFC submission will be started for building code checking process. In the first step, the 2D drawings PDF is still mainly focused on building code checking process. However, the second step afterwards, submitted IFC data will be utilized for automated building code check. So the Nordic countries and the Singapore are very advanced as a pioneer in this area. To establish the smarter building code check process, I believe the buildingSMART standards and solutions such as BCF, OpenCD API, IDS, and the BSDD will play a very important role. And in next, I'd like to share our latest national 3D city model development situation. The MLIT opened open data 3D city model development and expanding on December 2020. This is the relating the city GML schemas, and it's a city range digital twin asset. And the covered area is now in the end of 2020. The covered area is up to about 100 cities in Japan. And when we talk about the indoor spatial informations in the city model, we need to incorporate the BIM for indoor spatial information in the city model. So IFC is very important part of making LOD4 level city model. So we published IDM and MVD for LOD4 city model with MLIT. Of course, BSJ has been working on this area very closely to our government. And these are published BIM guidelines and IDM and MVD concept for city model. So to align the coming IFC 4.3 ISO standard, this MVD will be revised very soon. So this is the last part of my presentation towards open-BIM-based asset information model. Today, I focused on the open-BIM initiatives in public sector so far. The question is, how can we provide good quality of as-built model for AIM, asset information model? I believe the well-coordinated PIM, project information model in construction phase is the key. For example, in the large project, the number of subcontractor models is up to 50 or more, much more, the number. A general contractor like Kajima needs to collect them, the different kind of discipline models, like steel fabrications, temporary work model, structure model, and different kind of MEP models. That's a very tough task. And then we need to federate them to review and check for better BIM coordination. So this shows the very typical open BIM-based CDE situation during BIM coordination process in large project. In work in progress, so many subcontractors are using their own BIM software to model their discipline model at each task teams. And the task teams deliver their discipline model by IFC to move into the next phase of the shared status. That's very typical working flow in Kajima. And this is showing the how can we how the BIM coordination process works on open BIM-based CDE. The communication among the huge number of subcontractors is supported by open CDE API, especially IFC model publishing and the revisioning and the BCF management for better BIM coordination. And I believe that the open CDE is now providing very important value for a single source of tools, SSOT, in the daily BIM process. To end my presentation, I'd like to touch on the value propositions of lifecycle digital asset. Well, if you got the well-coordinated PIM, published IFC can be incorporated with lifecycle digital asset, like 3D city model, IoT ontologies, and the robot maps, and the AI learning model. So in conclusions, the open BIM is becoming a keystone to realize DX for building and city national program in Japan. Thank you so much for your kind attention.
Thanks very much, Adachi-san and Harvard. Really interesting examples, I suppose, of how you're using this incredible technology in practice. So thank you very much indeed for sharing your thoughts. Thanks. Right, I hope that those three presentations from our sponsors today really gave you a clear idea of what's going on out there and how you can get involved. I think all of them, though, really underlined where we started, which is the value, the huge value of this open environment where you're really building trust amongst this whole, as Patrick might describe it, this international friendship club. And bringing you all together here to share those insights to lead you all towards where we're all going, which is better outcomes, better decisions, and a better quality of life for everyone that's living on this very, very small planet. So do take away those thoughts, the thoughts that what's going on with BSI, but also the thoughts of what's happening out there in the real world of software development. Go off now, have yourself a cup of tea, a cup of coffee, grab yourself a cake. I'm sure there'll be one out there, but really, most importantly, have a chat with each other about what's happening and have a chat with the sponsors. So we're going to be back, I think, in 25 minutes or so. Let's come back at 11:35. We're going to come back at 11:35 and we're going to get really stuck into digitizing products, which is a new area for BSI. So thanks for supporting us this morning. See you in half an hour.